Welcome to Unfiltered, Pixel Pro Audio's weekly show. Today we're going to be talking about the Novation SL Mark III.
Hey, I'm Evan with Novation, and today I have the SL Mark III with me. This is the 61 key version. It also comes in a 49 key version. And the SL Mark III is a hardware MIDI controller, and it's designed to integrate well with your software and your hardware. So on the back we have two MIDI outputs, a MIDI input, 3/4 inch jacks for your expression pedals. It has two CV, two mod, and two gate outputs for your Eurorack system, and an analog clock output, in addition to USB and power, of course. So the killer feature on the SL Mark III is the 8-track sequencer. So I have 8 tracks to choose from, and I can send sequences out to 8 different instruments. Today I'm only using 3. I'm using circuit for the drums, peak, and the bass station 2. So the sequencer on the SL Mark III works very similarly to the Novation circuit. Now if I hit play here, you'll see that the white light starts scrolling, but nothing's coming out, and that's because we don't have anything on the sequencer yet. So there's a couple different ways we can input notes on the sequencer. I can hold a key down and place it on the grid like so. And I can also record it in live. So we have a pretty simple beat going. Let's go to the peak and lay something down there. Another great feature about the sequencer on the SL Mark III is the ability to record automation in. So I'm going to play with the cutoff frequency on the peak and record that automation in. So it's pretty quick and easy to get a beat going. But it's even faster if you use zones mode. So you can see the keyboard just split up into 3 different colors. So I have my drums, I have my peak, and my bass station. And the zones are completely customizable. You can make each zone as big or as little as you'd like. And you can do that for all 8 tracks. But right now, I'm just using the 3. Oh, let's go back. There we go. And let's do a new pattern here and use zone mode to record something in. So you can see all 3 tracks are doing their own thing because they're all playing on their separate tracks, their separate patterns, but we have it all spaced out on the keyboard right here. So that's a super convenient, super easy way to get going. But I'm not the best keyboard player in the world, so scales mode comes in handy for me. So I just activated scales mode, and you can see some of the lights on here turned off. And that's because these keys aren't in scale. Right now I have F Phrygian picked, but I can change my root note and the lights will correspond with that. So, you know, we could do D natural minor. And you can turn scale mode on per track. So obviously I don't want it on my drums because I'm not going to be playing my drums chromatically. So nothing changed here, but both the peak and the bass station have scale mode activated. There's also a 16-step arpeggiator on here. So I'll turn that on. And you can have the arpeggiator work for each selected part, or you can assign it to a specific part. Right now, I'm going to assign it to part 2, which is my peak. And the arpeggiator kind of works like a sequencer within a sequencer. So I can turn some of these steps. I can change the way the arpeggiator works. Up, down, random. I like chord mode. So the arpeggiator is pretty powerful when you use it in tandem with the sequencer. So one thing I want to talk about, how the SL is able to send out the automations to the various devices we have out here. We're using something we call templates. So the SL MkIII is going to come preloaded with a bunch of templates for a lot of different popular devices out there. Go through a couple here. TR-8S, the analog rhythm, the peak, of course, sub 37, base station 2, circuit, digitac, digitone, microKORG, so on and so forth. But the real bread and butter is when you program your own templates, and it's really easy to do in the Novation component software. And so when you make a template, you'll have to bust out the manual for whatever device you want to make a template for. But it's as simple as finding the CC value you'd like to control, and then you can assign it to any of the controls you see here. You can use it. You can assign a CC value to any of these encoders, any of these faders, or any of these buttons. So it's really customizable, and you can use the SL in a lot of different ways. And so I would recommend creating your own templates for your own devices that you use at home. And then that way, this really becomes the centerpiece of your studio. And you don't have to, be reaching over for all the different devices that you own. So you're able to save all of your songs. Well, they're called sessions. You can save up to 64 on the SL MkIII. You can also back them up to your computer. But these sessions will save your patterns. They'll save your templates, the various routings that you have, because you can route each track differently. You can have, let me show you how that works here. We can have, let's say this, we'll just do the base station 2. Right now I have it on DIN 1, which is a 5-pin MIDI port. It's the first one. There's 2 outputs, so I can have it coming out of port 1, port 2. I can turn CV on, coming out of CV1, CV2, or both. And you can also pick your MIDI channel here. So that's all done in the templates view. But right now we just have like a 1-bar pattern going, and that can get kind of stale. You can chain up to 8 patterns in sequence. So this would be a 1-bar pattern. This would be a 2-bar, 4-bar, 8-bar. And that's per track. So we can do the same here. We can also change the way the patterns play on a per pattern basis. And what I mean by that is if we go into options, select pattern, right now we have it playing forward. We can have it play backward, so it'll play in reverse. We can have it ping pong, which does exactly what it sounds like. We can have it random. And you can also change the sync rate on here. So say you want this pattern to play, 16th notes. So each pad on here is 1/16th note, which would make these two rows one bar. You can make that halftime if you change the sync rate to 8th notes. So it'll play in halftime. And I could duplicate that pattern and change the second pattern to play in full time. And if I chain those two together, you'll hear what I mean by that. So it's useful to get different rhythms, different variations on your patterns. Very easy to do. So the SL MkIII can act as a master clock. You can also have it slaved to a DAW. So if we go in the tempo menu here, we can change our tempo, and we can also change the amount of swing. So 50% would be straight on the grid. And as I turn it up, you can hear we're starting to get a little more swing. So that is all the basic main features of the SL MkIII. They're available now. You can find them at Pixel Pro, obviously. The 61 key version is $699, and the 49 key version is $599. And hopefully you found this video helpful. Once again, I'm Evan with Novation. Shout out to Pixel Pro for having me out, and see you next time.